That's actually not a Joker laugh. That's my friend Brent impersonating the Joker laugh. That's pretty good, isn't it? Good job, Brent. So who's got two thumbs and just got back from the theater from watching the brand new Joker movie? This guy. And I got some thoughts about it. So for starters, I'm going to try and keep this, as usual, as spoiler-free as possible. I usually do a pretty crummy job, but this time I'm really going to try really hard to spoil as little as I possibly can for you. If I've done my job correctly, hopefully you will come out of this video wanting to see the movie, maybe perhaps a little bit more than you did in the first place, without knowing anything about it that will ruin the story and the plot line for you. So, let's begin. So for starters, the Joker movie is a very, very clever and large endeavor in the sense that this movie is just as much about starting up a conversation about mental illness and the awareness of people who may be falling through the cracks, who are suffering with mental illness, as much as it is about an origin story about the Clown Prince of Crime. They are in equal proportions here. You cannot have the origin of the Clown Prince of Crime without talking about one's mental descent into madness and mental health issues in general. In other words, this movie does exactly what I thought it was going to do. It gives us empathy and understanding for the criminally insane. How'd they get that way in the first place? It doesn't wash away Joker's evil deeds in the movie. He still is criminally insane, and there's definitely some bad stuff there, but how did he get there? It's very much like the movie Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver is a film about one's mental state and how they descend into madness. That's pretty much exactly what this is like there's some very strong parallels here. Only there are times when the Joker movie really blatantly puts it in your face. It actually says things in writing that make it almost undeniable. The writers of this movie had an absolute point to why they made this. They weren't just trying to make another comic book movie that dealt with another well-known character that would be, no doubt, a large box office draw, but they were trying to start a conversation, and they were trying to bring depth to a character that, for most of the world who doesn't read comic books, is an otherwise depthless character. Most people don't see the Joker as, there's no reason behind it. Why is he like that? He's just Batman's villain. Unless you read comics, unfortunately that is how a lot of the world sees him. What this movie does is take a lot of artistic license in trying to answer those questions. And they do it very, very well. Now, as far as I know, this Joker movie is not attached in any way to the current DC universe at large. In other words, the universe that we've seen being built with Man of Steel, with Batman v Superman, Justice League, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, all those movies that connect that universe together, this is not part of that. It is his own thing completely. And I hope that there's no sequel, honestly, because just as a one-shot, as a one-off, this does a very good job. It's the equivalent of a DC Black Label title, only in film form. And if they made a sequel or they connected this to the DC universe at large, I kind of feel like it would wreck it. Now, as far as how I classify movies, I've generally got two kinds of movies. I think of movies as either falling basically into popcorn flicks or cinema. Whether it's a great movie or a B movie, usually a movie, as far as I'm concerned, will fall into something that you just want to grab a big bucket of popcorn and it's a blockbuster and there's all kinds of stuff happening and it's big budget and that whole thing. Or it's cinema, something that usually has a bit more of a deeper story. The cinematography is a lot more storytelling, a lot more intricate, a lot more artistic with its shots. This Joker movie, as far as I'm concerned, even though they had the chance to make a gigantic blockbuster Joker movie, they decided to go in a way that was more cinema, a way that was more kind of art house. Now, as far as the cinematography for this movie, I feel like it's as close to perfect as you're going to find. The lighting, the color grading and correction, the scene selection, when and where the camera changes to, the angles, they're pretty much immaculate. And there's some scenes in this movie where the way they've been filmed, you just go, wow, that is a great shot. I mean, they did a wonderful job with every single scene. Every shot counts in this movie. There's no throwaway scenes. There's no throwaway angles. None of the shooting pulls you out of the movie. It was filmed fantastically. And because of the way it's filmed, the movie at times is actually, it's sort of uncomfortable at times to watch the slow decay of a madman falling into a deep form of extreme psychosis that brings on violent tendencies. This movie does not skip a beat. Not once. Another really interesting thing that they do with this movie is they kind of make you feel sorry for the man who would become the Joker in this movie. And I chose those words very carefully. You almost feel sorry for him. They almost kind of sort of portray him a little bit as possibly an anti-hero or a vigilante at the very least in his own eyes. Like if you go to this movie and then you don't come out of this movie thinking, okay, yeah, he was bad. He definitely crossed some lines, but I kind of see what he was saying here. I kind of get it. And then how he ended up the way that he did, you know, I mean, can we hold the guy responsible considering that he's gone through the things that he's gone through and there are even some physical remnants of this? I mean, of course you have to hold people responsible, but seriously, this movie really does open up a dialogue about mental health for real. In the end, you're going to have to make the decision yourself. I say go see it, fork out the cash, go to the theater, support the movie, and then come to your own conclusions. But I can tell you, as a lifelong DC fan, someone who's been reading about the Joker for literally as long as I can read, the Joker's been one of the characters I've been reading about, I enjoyed it. I loved it. Sure, the Joker's makeup doesn't look exactly or almost anything like what it looks like in the comics, but we have to remember that this is its own thing, and because they did it the way that they did it, it's actually kind of more believable. It fits into the universe. Even his non-classic Joker makeup fits into the universe that they've created for him. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here so as not to spoil anything more than I already have. Just go see it for yourself. I really enjoyed it, and I can't take away any stars. Out of 5 stars, this gets a full 5 stars from me. I loved it 100%, and there's pretty much nothing that I would change about it at all. But with that, I'm done, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, give me a thumbs up. Any comments you have, pop them down in the comments section below. And if you want to become a subscriber for this channel, you know how to do it. You find the red button and you click it. And when you do, you become a super friend and a member of the DC squad, and you can join in the conversation. And I'll see you with the next one. Have an awesome day, super friends. Take care.